Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to an absolutely crazy and spectacular game from the early edition of the Title Cup in 2024 that you can follow of course on chess.com. The early edition finished a couple of minutes ago and Magnus Carlsen took the win with a clear domination. He had 9 wins and 2 draws out of the 11 games that he played. He played really brilliant, sharp, attacking, really beautiful tactical chess all over the board. And I think this game that I wanted to show now against Dmitry Andreikin was the most impressive one, in which Magnus Carlsen played without inaccuracies, mistakes or blunders. He played like a machine here. He had really great opening theory, great strategic concepts in the middle game stage. Again, also great middle game tactics, and then again, really a great end game idea. So put your seatbelts on and enjoy in a wild gameplay by Magnus Carlsen. So with the white pieces, Magnus opened with the move knight you f3, the Zukertort opening. We have now the move g6 by Dmitry Andreikin. Let's also point out that Dmitry Andreikin is a strong player. He outplayed now recently in a classical event the World Chess Championship challenger Gukesh. So Dmitry knows how to play chess, and you see also his rating on chess.com, 3,112 points. He has really impressive also rating on chess.com. So here after move g6, Magnus goes with e4, d6. We have now sort of Pert's modern defense stuff that's going on now on the board. d4, knight to f6, hitting immediately the pawn on e4, and now bishop to d3, bishop to g7, castling, and now rook to e1, connecting now everything and keeping compact around the square e4. We have now knight to c6 by Andreikin, hitting now also the pawn on d4. And basically what Andreikin is trying now to do is to go maybe in sort of a King's Indian structure. Let's see it just maybe a tiny little bad move maybe here for white. Then after something like e5, d5, knight to d7, black is hoping to reach this common King's Indian position where black is trying to expand then on the king side with f4, f5, f4, g5, g4 and similar stuff. Wants to reach really the well-known King's Indian structure. So here that's why after knight to c6, Magnus is not allowing that. If you play here after move d5 that Magnus played, knight to e5, then probably knight takes e5, d takes e5, keeps now a little bit here the pawn structure messy. Then c4 can happen, and after a couple more moves white would expand here with b4, c5, would have here great spaces of course on the queen side. So that's why after Magnus Carlsen's d5, you see Magnus get also now space advantage. Here Andreikin takes now the bishop on d3, Magnus retreats, and now comes, I would say, the first tiny little maybe even inaccuracy here by Andreikin. Here he has, I think, many choices. Bishop to g4 is one idea, to hit the knight and then maybe deflect the queen from the square c2, which then would force white to play maybe a passive knight to a3. The knight would not, of course, stay on the edge of the board till the end of the game, but at least for a while you stopped here white's progress on the queen side. Or you can maybe play e6. You don't want to tolerate, of course, the spaces here that that white created, of course, in the center of the board. So maybe cracking the d5 pawn is also an option here for black, or maybe going more positionally into the game, where maybe after knight after move a5, where maybe you can be challenged with move a3, but then you have maybe opportunities to play knight to a6, and then you fix maybe the knight on c5, and then you expand maybe with a4. You keep somehow the queen side fixed, where white will have a tough time maybe to push the pawn on b4. So this were, I think, the 3 options that black had in this position. But instead of that, Andreikin goes again into this King's Indian structures with move e5, and Magnus doesn't react. He goes simply with a3 after knight to a6, maybe just for fun. If you want to here also participate actively in the game, pause the video and try to see now the best strategic idea here for white. I'm not saying this next move is winning or something for white immediate, but it's a very important move. If you don't play this move, I think you don't have so much in the position for white. Of course, Magnus knows how to continue here. So what would you do now, for instance, in this particular position? Okay. Here, Magnus played the awesome b4. You have to expand here, and you should not allow here the knight to get fixed on c5. If that happens, then you have worries about the square e4, and then white could be challenged with this concept, as we have talked about, knight to c5, and then a5, a4, and black would solve many positional problems here on the queen side. White would then have really a tough time to expand on this side of the board. So b4, great move here by Magnus, and here knight to h5 played by Andreikin, and now it becomes simply, I think, a strategically bad game for black. A better choice here for black is to simply go with this idea, knight to b8. Again, if you're trying somehow after knight to c3 to crack the spaces that white gained. Probably here, of course, white is much better here, but that was the only way to proceed, somehow getting maybe the bishop into the game, maybe even a5. You have to battle here on this side of the board. But after knight to h5, Magnus says, okay, thank you. I have now beautiful spaces on the queen side. I have now initiative here on this side of the board, and suddenly it's not such an easy game to play. It's not this really common King's Indian structure, because white has made already really much progress here on this side of the board. Andreikin continues with knight to f4, knight to c3 by Magnus. Look at this. Magnus keeps now all of his pieces on really good squares. Although the bishop didn't participate so far in the game really actively, they're basically on the starting square. Of course, white castled and similar stuff, but look at this. Both of the bishops have great activities on both of the sides. The knights are on natural squares. We have the spaces on the queen side, so strategically white is of course much better. We have now the move h6 here by Andreikin. Maybe c5 was again somehow an idea to compete, but rook to b1 solves again any positional problems on this side of the board. And then with knight to a4, you're trying maybe to play something like b takes c5 to maybe create yourself here a passer on the d file. So also a good game for white. So after knight to c3, Andreikin played h6, and now comes what is, in my opinion, the most brilliant move of this amazing game. Maybe just for fun, again, pause the video and try to see now the best idea here for white. It's really, again, not a move that wins the game or something immediately here for white, but it's, I would say, a Stockfish 17 move that Magnus played here. Really amazing stuff. So try to see now here the best idea for white. Again, it's an amazing strategic concept by Magnus. Okay. Here Magnus plays the amazing rook to a2, and this move does several things. First of all, what this move is doing is getting out of the bishop attack. What's also doing, it's preparing the move rook to c2. The move rook to c2 would of course support the potential expansion by white on the queen side with the potential c5 move, but also what it does, it keeps actually the dark square bishop of whites on the starting square on c1, where, as we have mentioned, it has already a great activity. It has still something to attack on this side of the board. You don't have to move sometimes your pieces in order to get activity. The bishops are of course long range pieces. So look at this, the bishop is already attacking the king side without moving the bishop, and now Magnus is trying to get the rook on c2 where he has the attack, and he didn't have to move his bishop at all. Really amazing attack. And also what's doing, as I said, it's getting out of the dark square bishop of blacks. If something clears on this diagonal, then the rook could be in danger. Great move here. g5. Now comes the idea, bishop to e3 followed with rook to c2. We have now bishop to g4, h3, bishop to d7, and now c5. And look at this. This bishop gets now finally activated. White gets the spaces. If you try something like f5 here, then c6 is the option. If you play b takes c6, then the knight is hanging. So again, tactically here, game over for black. So after move c5, knight to b8. You see now Andreikin played the move that he should have probably played much earlier in the game, and now rook to c2. Look at this. Again, I wanted to point you out in these positions when the pieces sometimes are not playing, still they're having great activity. I'm pointing out here the queen on d1. Although the queen didn't play so far, it has already a great potential, because obviously something is going to clear now in the center of the board. The queen didn't participate in the game, but it's almost like you have the perfect piece on the board without playing with it. Really, really amazing. Really, potential of the queen is really great here, although as we mentioned, it didn't really play so far in the game. And now, even if you get challenged by some moves, f4, pardon me, f5, f4, maybe if this bishop gets challenged, still you can retreat with your bishop, but keep of course your attack on the c file. We have now the move f5, bishop to f4, e takes f4, and now comes again a brilliant idea here by Magnus, e5. Simply attacking further the position. If for instance g4 happens, then e6. All of these moves Magnus sees in the 3+0 game, which is really crazy. Here after move e6 we have g takes, if you try g takes f3, then e7 wins the exchange, and it should be game over here for black. So after move e5 we have d takes e5, Magnus takes, Andreikin competes now on the e file, but now look at this, the rook that played on a2 comes now on e2 in a spectacular way into the game. Now Magnus builds a battery and has now really incredible performance. Great activity here by all of the pieces. Andreikin battles finally here on the queen side, but it's a little bit too slow because Magnus found here really beautiful counterattack. C takes d6, Magnus doesn't want to pick up the pawn. That's what I've talked about. The queen, although it didn't play so far, it has still a great activity. Now look at this, in only one move, in what it becomes simply the best piece on the board. Queen to d5, or if you go of course to h8, then you get to fork on f7, so it's not working. King to h7, and now Magnus opens now the e file, where he's of course much better. Again, I would really love to mention that the rook, when it come to a2, then on e2, simply it was strategically lost for black, because now the activity is too much to handle. Here we have rook takes e2, but of course we have this intermezzo. Queen to f5 comes with check. You have to first step back, and now, only now, Magnus picks up now here the piece. We have now queen to d7, and now rook to e6. Again, a brilliant Stockfish 17 move here by Magnus, because if you try something like knight to c6, I just wanted to show you, then there are also something like this as a threat, rook to h6 check, and discovered attack against the queen, and the queen could be lost. So black cannot develop here, so that's why Andreikin tried something here on the queen side. Magnus prepares the bishop and queen battery, is threatening checkmate. King to g8, queen to d5, again with a similar tactical idea. Rook takes d6, discovered check, and picking up the queen. King to h8, Andreikin has to move now with the king. Now comes rook to d6, queen to e7, rook to d8, bishop to f8, and after queen to f5. In this particular position, black simply resigned. There's nothing that can be done. Queen to e1, you can just maybe try one check, but you have to in one moment step back and again protect your bishop. But now the winning idea is of course the deflection. Maybe you can play knight to d5, then the queen comes here, and then rook to f8 deflects then the queen from the defense of the h7 square, and it could be game over. Knight to c6, of course, here in this position it's not possible to develop, because you simply lose also the rook on a8. So great game, really a Stockfish 17 performance here by Magnus Carlsen. Incredible game in this fast time format. He played a perfect game. I think it was strategically a beautiful game with really interesting ideas, rook lifts, pawn breakthrough ideas, supporting your pawn storm on the queen side, getting a rook battery, queen and bishop battery, the principles of counterattack, many ideas we have seen in a beautiful blitz game by Magnus Carlsen. So okay, congratulations to Magnus for winning the title cup in 2024 early edition. If you want to see some other commented chess games here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our commented chess games, but also my commented chess games played by computers, where we analyze some beautiful AI games. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.